Good morning once again. May I request everyone to please settle down? We are about to begin. Participants who are standing at the behind may please take their seats.
Recording in progress.
May I request everyone to please settle down? A very warm welcome to the Semiconductor Ecosystem Conference 2025, organized by the Maratha Chamber of Commerce, Industries and Agriculture in association with the Software Technology Parks of India. India today stands at a pivotal moment, moving from being a technology consumer to becoming a global hub for semiconductor innovation, design, and manufacturing. With supportive government initiatives and strong collaboration between industry and academia, the future of semiconductors in India looks brighter than ever. And right here in Pune, a city fast emerging as a hub for GCCs, R&D, and fabulous innovation, we gathered today to chart that future together. Before we begin, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to all our distinguished guests. We are truly honored to Sir, very welcome to the event today. Can we have him on the screen, please? Sushil sir, good morning and welcome to the event by MCCIA. Here with us at the venue, I now request Mr. Prashant Girbane, Director General MCCIA, to kindly felicitate our esteemed dignitaries. Mr. Ajay Prasad Srivastava, Director STPI Pune. And Mr. Sanjeev Keskar, Convener SEC 2025. Ajit Chikteri sir, you are part of MCCIA. Very much. Thank you, Prashant sir. May I request you to please welcome the guests.
आपल्या सर्वांना नमस्कार. सुशील जी, आपको भी नमस्कार पुणे से, और आपके जो और सहकारी है संजय जी, आप भी जुड़े हुए हैं ऑनलाइन, तो आपको भी नमस्कार. ऑडियंस, I think there is a whole lot that will be discussed about the semiconductor ecosystem today. We will have an opportunity to hear from none other than Mr. Sushil Pal. I have had an opportunity to interact with him before, so I'm as excited about listening to him as you all are. And so I'm excited to hear the experts here on the stage. So what I'll do is I'll not talk much about semiconductor. I'll talk a bit about MCCIA, bit about the macro ecosystem, and then I'll hand it over so that we'll get to hear the experts talk about the topic that they know far better than me. I'm never tired of telling people that we have a rich legacy of 9 decades in MCCIA. It started in 1934. And over those 91 years, we've had many stalwarts like SLK, like Bajaj of the chamber, Mr. Sanjay Kirloskar, the board of MCCIA, the committee chairs, the executive committee members. I think all of them and my colleagues, all of them put together what MCCIA does. And I feel very, very privileged to be part of it and to be in front of you representing all of them. So I'll tell you a bit about what the chamber does and quickly get to hand it over to the other dignitaries on the dais. So the chamber essentially works on three key areas. One, it does whole lot of advocacy to the government. In a year, we would meet about 20 odd ministers, another 30, 35 odd secretaries, Government of India and Government of Maharashtra, to tell them the challenges faced by the industry. Now, it doesn't mean that every time we meet and we put a representation, it goes through. It doesn't. But then we must continue to do our job, because many times it does go through. For example, I recollect meeting the then Civil Aviation Minister in month of August and told him that we need to have Pune-Singapore flight. In month of October or November, early November, he came to Pune, very much on this stage. He announced the flight, and by month of December, the Pune-Singapore flight started. Something similar we have been doing. Oh, thank you. Something similar we have been trying to get the airport working. We have been trying many times, and we keep hoping that it will be sooner than later. So there is always a mixed bag when we do the advocacy on behalf of the industry, and that's understandable. The second thing that the MCCIA does, the capability building program. Every small company does not necessarily have, or medium-sized company does not have their own full-fledged HR or learning and development department. To cut the long story short, over the last financial year, 13,000 MSMEs from all over Maharashtra, each of the 36 districts of Maharashtra, benefited from one program or another of the 200 odd programs that MCCIA conducted. The objective is to build the capability, and it was not just in the small and medium, large companies also ensured that they sent the individuals to do this. Take an example, we ran one applied AI workshop in 12 districts, including Pune, of course. 1,000 MSMEs benefited from it. And we have 100 stories captured in a book, which tell you exactly how much benefit they got in numbers from understanding, learning, and using simple AI tools that are publicly available, but just that they were not aware. From that to talking about semiconductor design, that's the breadth of what we want to cover. The third area is a lot more about networking, conferences like these, or through the year we get about 20 odd council generals from different countries coming and interacting with all the members. As we talk about the ecosystem, it's also important on what we build that can be used for a long time. An auto cluster is what MCCIA set up. It's been used for past 20 years by hundreds of companies. Last that I counted, 750 MSMEs were using it last year. 750 MSMEs were using auto cluster last year. Similarly, closer home to this conference is the electronic cluster. Thanks to METI, funding from METI and then Government of Maharashtra and MCCI together, we have set up MECF now, MCCI's Electronic Cluster Foundation, and it's already helping hundreds of MSMEs, hundreds of companies in their EMI, EMC testing, in their measurement, in certain validations that they need to go through, and certain prototype designing that they need to go through. Now, that's the ecosystem that's created. Why did we create here, and how does it work here? It works because Pune, among the 800 odd districts, is the number one districts in the country when it comes to engineering goods exports. Now, that's for all of you who contribute to it. And how does it happen? It's thanks to good and great institutes, like the one where Mr. Pai is the chairperson, COAP, and there are other institutes that we have in Pune. Thanks to them, we have the availability of talent. Thanks to the many OEMs present here, we have a good supply chain available. Right? Thanks to the institutional architecture that we have, where we have institutes like SEDAC and STPI here, we are able to enable it. And thanks to the individuals like Mr. Keskar and others, sure that we do something about it. That's the ethos of building an ecosystem in and around us to do it. The last but not the least, When we organize conferences, right, because we organize many, I always wonder what happens after the conference. What's the residual effect of any conference, right? What after this? Now, to begin with, the bare minimum we get to do is get all of you together so that some of you meet each other. It's a very odd example, but worth sharing. In certain parts of India, or most parts of India, people love to go to attend relatives' marriages. Right? The one reason specifically is to ensure that you attend the marriage, pay the respect. But there's also another objective, and you all understand what the objective is, right? And in your own family, if you have an eligible candidate, it's a good place to do this, to visit. I think not too different. When you go to a conference, one is to listen to all the experts, but it's also interact among each other, right? Learn from each other. So that's a bare minimum that you achieve in a conference, and you should achieve, and hence I'm mentioning it at the beginning. Interact with each other as well. Number two, if we look at, and I hope, and I'm expecting, and I'm requesting, because I'm not an expert in this area, I'm requesting experts from who would be speaking through the day today, that we get to understand the overall architecture of what's happening in the world on semiconductor industry. What's happening in India, and what is the role that Maharashtra can play in it. Where do we stand today, and what do I need, and where do I need to go from here? And if I can get a common language, then all of us, everybody included, can push in that direction. While only experts would be able to design, institutions would be able to create the architecture, but individuals who are stakeholders would also be able to understand what is it that's required and what is it that's needed. For example, it's easier for me to explain that if you want Pune's growth, make sure that there is an airport, make sure that there is the ring road happening, right? Make sure that there is the internal roads that you have better traffic management. Just do these three things, we'll take care of the rest. If you want to help MSMEs, just do three things. One, make ease of doing business, reduce the compliance burden, increase the formal credit, and for that you just connect the GSTN with trades platforms that will take care of it. And third, make sure that the IT tools are accessible and affordable. I'm just giving an example. I would want to understand what are the two or three things at the end of the day that are key takeaways so that all of us together, right, advocate.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now invite Mr. Sanjeev Keskar. Thank you so much, sir. May I now invite Mr. Sanjeev Keskar, convener SEC 2025 for the context setting.
Good morning, everyone. Prashant ji, Vinayak ji, Ajay sir, and Ajit ji, thanks for this opportunity to be here with all of you. I'm Sanjeev Keskar. I spent 35 years in semiconductor industry, and last 5 years I have my own consultancy to support startups and MSME in semiconductor and electronics. India is really going through a very exciting time for semiconductor industry. And what I'm going to cover as a convener of this conference to set the context of today's whole day event, I'm going to really take you through some of the global trends, what's happening in India, some of the government policies, and finally what Maharashtra should be doing or what Pune should be doing to really take advantage of this great opportunity with all of us. So if you look at the global situation, semiconductor industry, which was $600 billion, will be marching towards $1 trillion in next 5 years. By 2030, global semiconductor industry will be $1 trillion. Now, there is a direct proportion between electronic industry and semiconductor industry. Typically, semiconductor contributes 25% of electronics. So globally, electronic industry will be almost $4 trillion plus by 2030. India is at a very crucial juncture today. 20% of semiconductor design workforce of the world is today working in India, with government focus on semiconductor manufacturing as well as creating semiconductor design ecosystem. There are a lot of activities today happening in this particular sector. If we look at India growth in semiconductor, by 2030, India will be $100 billion by 2030. So currently, India is around 6% of the global semiconductor market, but by 2030 will be 10% of the global semiconductor market. What it shows that India is going to grow faster than any other region in the world. And similarly, the contributors for electronics will be smartphone, mobile phone industry, industrial electronics, consumer electronics, automotive electronics, all these things, plus the infrastructure project like data centers, AI revolution, IoT, and telecom infrastructure from 5G to 6G. All these growth drivers will take Indian electronics industry to almost $400 billion by 2030. So $100 billion semiconductor and $400 billion electronics industry in India in next 5 years. We have seen this flow chart. It starts with EDA tools, then comes the VLSI chip design, and then those design goes to wafer fab. And from wafer fab, those wafers goes to ATMP OSAT for packaging. Finally, the chips are made, and then chips goes into design for embedded electronics design. And finally, we see the electronic product. This is a typical chain of electronics today. Today, India is predominantly doing only the manufacturing part, EMS part, electronics manufacturing services part. Means if you look at 40% India market is mobile phone, but we get complete kit of Apple, Samsung, Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi, and we do only EMS activity, which gives us only 10% value addition. Similar case with consumer electronics, IT hardware, where we do kit assembly. Now it's a time to change, to improve the value addition in electronics. And 50% value is in electronic components, 25% is in semiconductor. And that's the way we can improve our value. Another 30% value is into electronic embedded designs, product innovation. Again, we have a great talent, but that talent is working for global companies. It's a time to create local ecosystem of design, both for semiconductor design as well as embedded electronics design. So these are the 4 pillars of this ecosystem. Wafer fabs, ATMP OSAT, then chip design, VLSI activity, and finally the manufacturing of electronics. And we have to focus on all these 4 pillars, not only on EMS, which is happening today. And we have to really concentrate on how we can create the semiconductor manufacturing, how we can improve the packaging industry, as well as chip design industry. Good news is, under ISM policy, India Semiconductor Mission policy, we have 10 proposals already approved, and there are 4 proposals which, even without approval, they have started operation. So there are almost 14 projects for ATMP OSAT and wafer fab, which are already under construction, and by next year, they will be in operation. So this is a very welcome move that Tata is setting up fab in Gujarat, Tata is setting up ATMP in Assam, Ken Semicon, CG Power, HCL, Foxconn. All these projects are coming up in next 1 year, and the government has supported $10 billion for these 10 projects. And now ISM 2.0 is under consideration, so there will be additional funding which will be given by Government of India to support semiconductor manufacturing. So this is a great development in last 3 years since the ISM policy was announced. This is another interesting thing. Semiconductor is 25%, I told you, but you know passive components, connector, cable, bare PCB, that contributes 15%. Means if Indian electronics industry is going to be $400 billion, our passive and PCB requirement is going to be $60 billion, 15% of 400 billion, which is huge. And today we are importing more than 90% of these components also. So government announced this electronic component manufacturing scheme in the month of April. And just last week, Ashwini Vaishnav sir has made a press conference. 249 proposals have come under this particular electronic component manufacturing scheme for capacitor, resistor, inductors, camera modules, display modules, bare PCB, HDI PCB, and capital equipments. So 249 proposals worth 110,000 crores are already received by 30th of September. So this is another interesting development happening in India for passive components and connector. So we are talking about ecosystem for electronics and semiconductor. So this is a very welcome move that on one hand, wafer fab and ATMP OSATs are coming up. On the other side now, the passive component industry will evolve, and then the chip design industry will also evolve. This is my last slide. What Maharashtra should be doing? Because we have seen most of the wafer fab and ATMP OSATs are in Gujarat or in some other states. Okay, Maharashtra, we have one proposal by RRP, but as of now, the 10 proposals which are approved by center, none of them is in Maharashtra. So where Maharashtra should focus, or Pune should focus? I want to propose 4 things where Maharashtra should concentrate. Compound semiconductor is a very big area. Your photonics, discrete semiconductor, MOSFET, power, analog, okay, none of the current proposals are into this area. And you know, these nodes are not on 3 nanometer or 10 nanometer technology. These are still on 28 nanometer, 45 nanometer technologies. So Maharashtra should focus on compound semiconductors, silicon carbide, gallium nitride. These are the projects where Maharashtra should concentrate. Second is display fab. As of now, none of the display fab proposal is approved, but there are 2 provisions for display fab proposals, and displays are everywhere, right from your wearable to the laptops to the automotive to the TV. So display fab should be another area where Maharashtra should focus. And thirdly, about ATMP OSAT. So that's the first point, that we should focus on compound semiconductor, display fab, and ATMP OSAT. Secondly, we should focus on EMS activity. Currently, Indian electronics manufacturing system industry is around $30 billion, but it is going to grow to $60 billion. Already there are some good EMS companies, Pune and around. Jabil is there, and SAME is there. There are at least 20 good companies in Pune alone. But there is a scope to double this industry over the next 5 years. So EMS is another area where Pune and Maharashtra should focus. Passive component, I think the simple thing is 249 proposals are in application stage with government. Maharashtra should reach out to those 249 companies and attract them to Maharashtra state. That, okay, we are offering you this incentive and you should set up a factory, because the proposals are about to get approval. So we should attract those companies of passive component in our state. That is the third area. And fourth area is about the capital equipment. All these EMS industry growth, all these ATMP OSAT growth will require a lot of capital equipment. Okay, we have Mr. Salunke from Accurate, his focus is on capital equipment. I think there is a big opportunity to create those capital equipments in Maharashtra to support all these infrastructure which is going to grow. So overall, I think timing of this conference is perfectly right. There is so much action. We should also focus on semiconductor fabless design. Already there are so many GCCs in Pune. We have Lattice Semiconductor, we have Semtech, we have Micron, we have NXP. Okay, all big global companies. Alphawave Semi, Sandeep is here. Okay, we have already some large operations of fabless semiconductor design in this city, but we have to create more startups. Now the time is right to create IP and products from India, rather than working for some global companies. So that ecosystem can be created, and good news is Ajay sir will share, he's setting up a VLSI incubation and test facility at STPI Pune. So a lot of activities government is also planning to do, but we have to create startup ecosystem for design of fabless as well as embedded electronics. So have a great day. We have lined up excellent speakers throughout the day. Once again, thanks for taking time out to be here with us today. Entire team has put in a lot of efforts for last 2 months to really put together this whole day program. So look forward to great findings and messages throughout the day from the leaders which we have lined up as speakers. And I wish a great success to today's conference. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Keskar, for setting the tone for today's discussions and highlighting India's growing semiconductor momentum. We now move to the special address by Mr. Ajay Prasad Srivastava, Director, STPI Pune, With over 27 years at STPI, Mr. Srivastava has been instrumental in advancing India's semiconductor and startup ecosystem, driving innovation, policy implementation, and infrastructure development across multiple states. Sir, over to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me for this conference. And in fact, I am the integral part of MCCIA. तो जब सर ने बोला कि अजीत सर आप तो घर के हो तो मुझे थोड़ा सा बुरा सा लगा. So I felt a bit bad कि अरे सर मुझे भूल गए बिल्कुल. And
ये जो रायगढ़ फोर्ट की ये है ना फ्रेम आपके ऑफिस पे रहे, इसलिए ये देना आपको बहुत जरूरी था.
So very generous sir, very generous sir. So I will try to cover one story that I want to share with all of you. So I started my career with STPI way back 26 years back, headed Rajasthan. Last 17 years I was at Chandigarh and got a chance to build one of the biggest incubation center, which was called the T-Hub of North, and it was specifically into artificial intelligence and data analytics. And I built up one of the 200 racks of a Tier 3 standard data center to support these AI startups. But the best part was my next door neighbor was semiconductor laboratory. So I worked very closely with them, wanted to do a lot in some VLSI, but last year I got transferred to Pune. And here my story starts. So landing in a place you are unknown, you don't know anybody in Pune. You did something at Chandigarh from last 17 years, has an aspiration to do something big at this place. And here comes that marriage arrangement. So Prashant sir said na, कि शादी में जाते हैं तो दूल्हा दुल्हन ढूंढा जाए and relationship built up करी जाए. So I landed in Pune and went to IIT Mumbai, got a connection of MCCIA. And I think on my 20, and the best part is when I landed in Pune, so I stayed in a BSNL guest house, which is very near to MCCIA office. And evening में खाना खाने के बाद जब walk करता था तो इन्हीं की lane पे ही walk करता था. But I didn't know that MCCIA exists here. So those IIT Mumbai guys told me that MCCIA is here. आप वहाँ पे जाइए, you will get a good connection and always a very relevant people to talk with. And interestingly, on my 20th day, I landed into Sir's office. Prashant Joglekar was my first connect, and then happy to get introduced to Sir. And here, what is the power of MCCIA? So after 17 years standing in Chandigarh, landed into Pune, you know nobody, and all of a sudden you get a vision, you get a right connect, and then you get a platform to work with. So this is what is the power of MCCIA. And this is the power of their 90 years of experience, which really speak worth, trustworthiness and all that. And in fact, last year when our secretary, sir came here for industry consultation meeting, and he got a chance to address our first semiconductor conference here. So I was also part of that delegation. So Secretary Sir said that the best part of the MCCIA is not only creating a platform, but it is a way they do a good governance, which is very important. So it is not important to bring good projects and think of doing bigger projects, but it is very important how you govern that project, how you deliver that project, that is more important, and in a passionate way. So, sir, what you have done for the small, medium entrepreneurs in electronic sectors and all companies in Maharashtra, you have now a different challenge. And of course, MCCIA is our core partner for setting up this Center of Excellence for Semiconductor Design. So I'm passionate more. So केशकर सर ने जो अपनी बात बोली, so he talks about $1 billion, trillion economy, big investments, big fab labs. I'm passionate of semiconductor design. I'm passionate for getting IPs to be created here. I'm passionate for getting some chip which has a stamp of made in India and made in Pune. That is what we are keen. And I think Sandeep sir is here. We can make it. So that's our forte. STPI is a pan-India organization. We have around 68 offices pan-India. Pune is one of the directorate, and Hinjawadi, we have a new campus. We have around 600 seats of incubation center for these startups to get there. And we are trying to develop that ecosystem. What I feel is sometimes it is not the money. It is more important if you have a good mentor. And it is not the, so passion drives a startup, but then you have to support it. And why I'm telling Prashant sir is developing a semiconductor ecosystem is altogether a different challenges. Because we have set up around 24 center of excellence in different domains, so artificial intelligence, blockchain, and IoT, and some of the emerging technologies. But to set up a center of excellence in semiconductor the entry barrier is very big. And I think Sridhar is here, so he can vouch me because he has already run a acceleration program, which is SAFAL, and I think we will take a lot of, so we had an initial call, we'll take a lot of inputs from you also. So developing a semiconductor ecosystem is altogether a different challenge, and it is not for one organization who can do it. I don't want to say that STPI will do it. Everybody has to come together, and I see a lot of part that MCCIA has to play. And what you have done in last 90 years, using that experience, if you can expedite this ecosystem development in Pune in next 5 years, it can really change the tone for this place. Why Pune? So I think Sanjeev Keshkar ji is passionate for Pune. Sir, you are passionate for Pune. We are Detroit of US. We are Oxford of East. So we have the customer also here. So I think, and apart from that, a huge pool of talent which is available at Pune. And one of the most important things that I have realized in last 1 year working at Pune is the manpower available here is highly technical. And that is one part of their, you can say, advantage, that they are highly technical. The second part is they are very ethical. And at this stage, I want to give a message to every technocrat who are working in semiconductor area in Pune is be ethical, and we will create the next wave of semiconductor design from this city. So thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Collaboration is indeed the key for growing this ecosystem in Pune and Maharashtra. Next, we will be hearing from Mr. Vinayak Pai, Managing Director and CEO, Tata Projects, as his special address. A respected industry leader, Mr. Pai heads one of India's most prominent EPC companies, delivering landmark projects such as the new Parliament Building, Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link, and Noida International Airport, while actively shaping India's infrastructure and technology landscape. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Pune. It's great to see so many of you here interested in the semiconductor space. That means that there are a lot of companies and a lot of individuals who are very much interested in this space. And it's very exciting to be in this space today. So first of all, Mr. Sushil Palji, Joint Secretary MIT, joined us today. So thank you, sir. You can see Sanjay Bhandari there from the US. So my good friend, dignitaries on the dais. As I said, 5 years ago, 2020, 2021, India started building electronic factories, manufacturing iPhones, especially started manufacturing the outer component or the covers of the iPhones. And it looked like a great opportunity, great industry, and this is going to grow. At that point in time, if, somebody had said that by 2025, the first semiconductor chip will be made in India and will be released, it would have looked like a very far-fetched dream. But today it has already happened. If you see, the first made in India chip was released by Prime Minister last month or month before, I don't remember, in Noida, this month, last month. It's great to be, and this has happened according to me, primarily because of two things. One, the amount of effort which the government of India has put into this, the thought which has been put into it, the whole ISM, how the support has been given to the industry, the ISM 1.0 and now 2.0, that has been fundamental. I mean, who could imagine that people in the US will say that the packages which the government of India is offering is better than the CHIPS Act and what the US government is offering in many ways. Now, that was a game changer to attract investments into this. So, as I said, one, from the keen interest from the government and the drive right from Prime Minister Modi to Ashwini Vaishnav-ji to Krishnan-ji and, Sushil Pal-ji, and that whole team has taken, the governance to a next level in this industry. I have hardly seen any industry having so much of support, and with a very clear view that this is going to be the part of Viksit Bharat and transforming India. So I think great job there. The second main reason is that the chips were made in the US, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia, but the minds were Indians. If you look at all the companies, so many of the Indian diaspora who were involved in making this industry in the last few years. So the first example I'd like to give personally is a company called Micron. That was under the ISM. Micron was the first project which was announced by the Prime Minister. And, as Tata Projects, we had done the Tata Electronics factory in Hosur, and we were trying to get into the semiconductor. So we were bidding for that project. And then, in Gujarat government, there was a secretary, Mr. Nehra. So I asked Mr. Nehra, who will be the influencer in Micron? So he directed me to a gentleman called Gursharan Singh in Singapore, right? Very strong links to India. So and then I spoke to Gursharan, and he has been head of this project right from day one, and he's been very supportive of doing this project in India. Then I told him, I'm going to the US, I want to meet your senior folks. And, Gursh arranged it for me. And then I went and met Manish Bhatia, who was the EVP responsible for all of manufacturing for Micron globally. I went and met Sanjay Malhotra, who's the CEO of Micron. I went and met Hem Takiyar, who's a IIT graduate, who's the head of technology for Micron and has tons of patents to his name. And, I suddenly found that whole, and then, you interact with people in Intel, you interact with, all the big US companies, and you suddenly find very familiar names. And many of them, like Dr. Randhir Thakur, has spent a long time in this industry, he is now the CEO of Tata Electronics. He came back to India, right? And he has built his own team around people who are returning expats. So, I think the whole government policy and the Indian talent came together to create really magic in this industry very soon. And I think both of them deserve a round of applause, according to me. Now, we at Tata Projects, after we started working on Micron, had a lot of lessons learned of how to actually put up a semiconductor facility. And it has been really eye-opening to see the amount of technology which is involved. We have been fortunate that 3 of the first 4 projects which were announced, where we are involved in some way or the other. It has, projects which are very large in nature. These are more than 1 million square feet of construction with more than 500,000 square feet of clean rooms in them. I mean, if you really go and see there and see end to end how it looks, it's just mind-boggling, the scale at which these projects are. There's technology, the Micron technology is from the US, the Tata Electronics fab technology is from Taiwan, the Tata Electronics Assam, that technology is actually homegrown. It's developed in India by, people in Tata Electronics. So you have technology from all over India, at the same time also Indian developed technology. So if you look at what has been achieved in the industry in just 2 years, you will see that there is a lot of action, but a keen, sense to detail and technology. And that, I think, has come together very well. I would say, from my perspective, this will get more and more complex, right? I mean, building OSAT facility is, great, very challenging, but when you actually build a fab, it's at a very different level. I've spent a large part of my career in the oil and gas industry, and I thought an offshore platform was the most complex things to engineer and to really very space constrained and very complex. But when I went to the fab in Taiwan and actually went to what is below the fab, it's mind-boggling, the amount of piping, the amount of, interconnections which come together, the instrumentation which is there. It's at a complete different level of complexity. And, we have to do this, and we have to do this at scale. And we have to do this at speed, right? That's the challenge in front of us. I mean, globally, projects take whatever time they take, but the Indian government wants these projects to be done in 18 months at the max. And every time Mr. Sushil Pal and, his others at METI come out with some world records and say that Samsung built it in 12 months, why can't you build it in 12 months? So, in addition to the complexity, we have to build it at speed. Now, we have realized that to do that, there are 3 things which I think are very critical, which we have to all align on and find out how to, get these things together. The first one is the technology, right? And this technology is not only for putting up these facilities, the technology is all around it, right? What are the components which go into it? What are the tools which go into it? So, that technology awareness is extremely important, and developing those technologies in-house will be critical, right? And that's where, universities have to come together with organizations like the STPI, like MCCI, and, colleges like COEP and other engineering colleges, and really come together to see how we can take the technology development very seriously. Only then we will be able to really meet these demands. The second most important is the supply chain. These projects rely extremely highly on supply chain. And today, for want of, confidence, I would say, some of the supply chain comes from overseas, right? And it's very easy, and it is very much possible. So on the Micron project, 20-30% might be from overseas, because, Micron had done those projects with those suppliers in the past, but almost 70% is India developed. And India has a great advantage that, the clean manufacturing. The pharma industry in India has set the benchmarks for it. And there are a lot of, people in India who have developed excellent products and excellent supply chain in the pharma industry. Now, of course, it will need a bit of training and retraining, but it can very well be applied. So I have, seen a lot of companies who have done great in the pharma industry, getting into the supply chain for the semiconductor. And that, I think, is a great opportunity for India to leverage. So set up the whole supply chain, and each of these factories which come with huge land around it, because it's not just that factory. You need suppliers who will, supply the chemicals, gases. You have, people who will supply the tools for that. And, the whole ecosystem has to be managed around a facility. And that's where the opportunity for MSME will be there. There will be opportunity for, technology being developed in-house. And all that has to come together. So the supply chain resilience is going to be extremely critical. And I would encourage all of us to get together today to see if there's one thing, like Prashant said, what's the outcome of this conference? If we go back with a very strong view on the supply chain for this industry coming together out of this conference, only one thing, it'll be a great achievement. And I think we should track that in a way. And the third and most important one is developing the skills. Yeah, the skills have to be developed in design, skills have to be developed in operations. You have to skill, people who will operate these fabs and these facilities. That's very important. So, that's again something which, the industry, academia, and, organizations like MCCIA is coming together. And I can see a lot of it actually happening in Pune in terms of skill development. That should be one of our focus areas, and Pune should be the incubator for skills required for this industry. You actually don't need a fab to be built in Pune to develop that skill set. If it is there, it's very portable, and a lot of industry is actually looking at that, because once these plants start getting operated, there will be a lot of skilled people required to run it and maintain it. Right? So I think that's the other thing which we have to all think about, how we come together. And I think if these three things, the technology, supply chain, and skills, if we are able to really come together and get an answer, this will just go from ISM 1 to ISM 2 to a $1 trillion industry very soon. And we have shown that it's possible based on what has been done in 2 years, 3 years. I mean, which country will have a, ISM 1 policy announced, in September, October of 2023 and have, multiple plants operational by 2025 in one way or the other, right? So that's what we are all capable of. And I think conferences like this create immense value for people to come together and solve this problem and, take this industry to absolutely global leader, which I think will happen, and we'll all be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pai. I think that was a great perspective shaped up by the House of Tatas, as well as one of the best engineering universities in India now and one of the oldest one. Important key takeaways of, for me, especially on the supply chain as well as the developing the talent. So thank you so much for that. Before I introduce Shri Sushil Pal, we all are very keen to hear him. Just a couple of very quick things. I recollect very much on the same stage, Sushil ji, you are listening to this. We had opportunity to host Dr. Krishnan, the Secretary MCCIA, who talked about the semiconductor ecosystem. Was it last year? Isn't it? And then we had an opportunity to meet him again, along with Honorable Minister Ashwini Vaishnav ji. And when that's Dr. Anand Deshpande, Mr. Ravi Pandit, Mr. Ajay Bhagwat, and I think 4 or 5 of us met him last year. And then he did appreciate very much the work that we're doing, the work that's happening with MECF. But he also mentioned that you should focus on, he talked about a bunch of areas, but one I distinctly recollect is the SCO, no, SoC, software on chip. Did I get that right? System on chip. My apologies. That's why I said I'm not the expert, but that's all that I could catch up there, system on chip. Thank you so much. No, I genuinely mean it. So system on chip, I think that's what he did mention. So we've been very, very lucky to have the guidance from the Secretary and Honorable Minister. And today we're very, very lucky to have someone who is shaping up the entire architecture of it. That's Shri Sushil Pal. So very quick, a brief introduction before I request Mr. Pal to speak to us. Shri Sushil Pal serves as Joint Secretary at MCCIA. He's leading several strategic initiatives in the electronic and semiconductor sectors. He has been a key architect of India's semiconductor mission, driving policies to build a robust domestic manufacturing and design ecosystem. Under his leadership, MCCIA has strengthened collaboration with global technology companies, fostering investments in chip fabrication, ATMT units, and design innovations. He has played a pivotal role in advancing the ISM, India Semiconductor Mission, as you know. Of course, before that, EMC 2.0 and DLI schemes. Shri Pal brings a unique blend of administrative acumen and technology vision, steering India forward, becoming a trusted global hub for semiconductor and high-tech manufacturing. While we continue to be blessed by Honorable Minister and and respected Secretary, the individual who is responsible for both of them and for all of us to shape up the nation's semiconductor ecosystem is Sri Sushil Pal. We're very, very fortunate and lucky to have you speak to us. Thank you so much for your time, and now handing it over to you, Mr. Pal. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant, for that introduction. Esteemed delegates on the dais and all those people who are in the audience. I'm not able to see all of you, but I'm told that there is a huge participation from the industry, academia, and from the student fraternity as well. Let me begin first by congratulating the organizers for this semiconductor ecosystem conference. I believe it is the second edition of the semiconductor ecosystem conference. A particular initiative is a great step forward in creating the ecosystem, because this such platforms, such forums brings together on various different stakeholders on a single platform. And I also, apologize for not being able to present there physically, which I promised the organizers, but because of some commitment which was beyond my pay grade, I could not have traveled. Coming to the electronics journey of India, Sanjeev has already spoken so much about the both in the electronics as well, take up to 13 to 14% of the GDP. And most of the growing economies, which rank above us actually, in all them, most of them, they actually manufacturing contributes more than 20% and maybe 25% and above as such to the GDP. And that is the number we are targeting at, to take the manufacturing to 25% of the GDP. And if that is to happen, then electronics lies at the core of the manufacturing, be it any manufacturing sector. Electronics has actually become a foundational industry. When I say electronics, I also mean the semiconductors as such. It's actually become a foundational industry. The way iron and steel or any sector to grow. All other sectors will actually be built. And
Sushilji, apologies for interrupting you. Are you able to hear me? Apologies for interrupting you. Sir, the signal is breaking. I don't know if switching off video would help us, though we would want to see you while you speak, but whatever helps to kind of...
I can. No problem. Is it better?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Is it better?
This is better, so please continue, sir.
Just to underline the importance of electronic and semiconductor sector for the complete manufacturing sector as such. Now we're coming to the, I think we have been doing pretty good. The electronic manufacturing has been growing at a CAGR of more than almost 20% over the last 5 years. And our exports potential has also been expanding at a CAGR of more than 24-25%. But we must also be cognizant of the fact that this we have been doing, at a low base. We are a pretty late starters in the electronic manufacturing. This journey had actually started maybe in our last decade or so. Before that, we have been largely absent in the core manufacturing when it comes to electronic and semiconductors as such. And this policy, I think, is largely, it can be seen into one as a purely semiconductor policy, which is driven by the ISM 1.0, and a non-semiconductor electronic policy, which includes a lot of other schemes like PLI for large-scale electronics, PLI for IT hardware, electronic component manufacturing scheme. Coming to the semiconductor part of it, I think Sanjeev already mentioned that the government of India has approved 10 projects so far, and is in the process of approving a couple of them more. And with that, we'll be exhausting our complete provision of the incentive as planned under the ISM 1.0. What is important to note is that the projects approved so far, it covers a very diverse sector of the projects. It covers two fab. One is the CMOS fab, other is the compound semiconductor fab, which is the silicon carbide fab, which caters to the different market segments. I think silicon carbide fab, as a lot of you may be already knowing, it caters to more the power electronics and also to RF devices as to some extent. Apart from the two fab, then we have two, we call them the packaging. They are technically the ATMP, but they are very niche or specialized or advanced level of packaging. Is it okay now, or Prashant, is it okay now?
This is okay, sir, but not perfect, unfortunately. We're all kind of so keen to listen to you. So the audience is looking at me.
आप अपना भी video off कर दीजिए, maybe.
Sorry, sir?
No, maybe.
Yeah,
you can switch off your video also,
sure,
if that helps.
Sure.
अगर आप अपना भी video off करें, तो maybe that would help.
हाँ जी, Rajni, we'll switch off our video, please. Sir, we did that also. And my one request, sir, while you are speaking, if you think it's appropriate and it's okay, if you also record it,
give it a try.
So that at the end we'll also have the recording. But anyway, I'll hand it over to you, sir. We'll continue. Please continue.
Yeah, sir. So, the important point, the point I was making, that the 10 projects which has been approved, it covers a diverse sector. As I said, there were two fabs, and then we have 8 ATMPs, but out of the 8 ATMPs, the OSATs, 2 are very specialized and niche level. One is a wafer level packaging, which only caters to the display ICs. So that will build the capability of the country when it covers in the market segment, which relates to the display IC segment. And another one is about a completely 2.5 and 3D packaging, which is based on the glass substrate, which is actually very high-end packaging, and it's one of its kind, to be the first in the world as such. It's designed to packaging wherein we package not only the chips, but also the passives and other all other devices as well onto a single substrate. The rest, out of the 6, one is a Micron, again, which is a pure memory play by the Micron. And then the rest of the 5 are into the either the packaging of the discrete semiconductors or the normal ICs based upon the wire bonding in the flip chip packaging. So this was to highlight that when we have the projects being approved, it is actually designed to cater to the market segment, which India can cater to. One question often we get raised is that why they're not approving the most advanced high-end ones? Because one is that requires when we say high-end ones, meaning the likes of 5 nanometer and below, but then those requires very high investment, and moreover, our market is not yet ready for that, right? So market is ready for the projects for the chips which are 28 nanometer. And important factor from the ISM 1.0 that we have got a huge traction. Most of from the countries across the globe. Most of these projects which have been approved under the ISM 1.0, they have a technology partner. Naturally so, because we don't want to be spending money on doing R&D and further steep because they have a steep learning curve. We don't want to be spending money. It's all mature technology, so you would rather want to partner with a technology partner and kickstart the project as soon as you can. So we have been very fortunate that the companies across the country, these countries and the multinational companies in those countries in India's economic potential and India's manufacturing journey of the electronics. So, and yes, we are also, third thing I think I would want to underline, that the government is equally focused on the execution of these projects. And Mr. Vinayak Pai, the MD and CEO of Tata Projects, I think he has made presentation at the highest level, which, further to underline that how government is very serious about the timely and the fast execution of the projects. And these projects are of very, very, very different nature. Country has not seen the complexity and the scale of construction efforts required in such projects, and also the kind of precision and the scale of capital equipment which are needed for setting up these facilities. Coming to the fabulous part in the semiconductor policy itself, again, Sanjeev mentioned about the DLI scheme and all. I would not go into the numbers. We have approved some 23 DLI applicants. Government is fully aware about some of the problems with the industry is facing regarding the present design of the DLI scheme, and it's a work in progress, and we'll soon come out and address those. And we keep mentioning, I think I heard the speakers earlier, that we cater to the 20% of design, and then but most of our design talent actually goes for designing for the MNCs. I mean, and we have a lot of passion to say, we must design for our own company. I mean, we must become a product nation. We must develop our own products. All these things are important, but I think what is to be kept in mind, I mean, it's designing and developing a project is not so much of a challenge. The biggest challenge is selling a product. And there I would request the MCCI and all the stakeholders present there for any policy suggestion they have, they can have from to make sure that these design companies, or which actually go on designing Indian products as such, we can make sure that there is a definite amount of demand aggregation available to them, so that it's possible for them to survive initially and help them to scale their operations. So much for the semicon part. And coming to the non-semicon part, which is PLI and for large scale and IT hardware and the ECMS. PLI, I think, as you are all aware, that PLI for large scale has been the most successful scheme of the government of India. And we have been exporting record numbers of smartphones from the country so far. And we also boast of actually manufacturing the most advanced phones in the country. I mean, not only out of PLI funded scheme brands, but even those which are beyond the PLI. So, I mean, you have the latest one, the Google Pixel, also being manufactured in the country. And apart from that, PLI for IT hardware, which is actually for manufacturing of the laptops, servers, and also I think it's also finding a great traction, a huge traction. And I'm sure we are into the second year. And first year has not been very a great year for the PLI for IT hardware. Maybe industries take time to invest and actually to plan their supply chain. It's not an easy decision for the global corporates, because most of the decisions are actually driven by the supply chain teams headquartered abroad. But from this year onwards, we see that I think most important companies and the global OEMs are actually investing a lot. And we definitely see the domestic production for the IT hardware as well picking up. And I'm positive that this will also see the same success story as PLI for large scale mobile has seen. Coming to the electronic component manufacturing scheme, I think, yes, this scheme is very different. I mean, it's a kind of a mix. This scheme has a mix of everything. It's got a PLI, it's got a capex incentive as well, and it's got a hybrid as well. I think it's a mix of. I mean, one company can be given both the capex as well as the PLI, and because, as we call it, it's kind of a bespoke scheme in a way, because this scheme has been designed after a massive stakeholder consultation with the industry. And every policy instrument has been designed to cover up, to come up, to kind of undo or to offset the disability which each components are having for manufacturing in the country. So disability for manufacturing of a multi-layer PCB might be very different from a disability for manufacturing of the high-density interconnect or a MSAP substrates in the country. So disability for capacitor, normal capacitor, may be very different from disability for a lithium-ion cell. So depending upon what disability company faces or the particular component faces, depending on whether it requires a very high capex investment, whether the scale is a major bottleneck to achieve and competitive. The policy instrument has been provided so that and that is the reason that we have got such a massive response from the industry, and it has been we've been very enthused by the response we have got, which is actually almost double than what we expected as planned under the scheme notified couple of months back. And is it fine, Prashant? I hope, because it seems as if I'm speaking to
Yes.
myself.
No,
but
no.
I'm just checking again. So,
No, we are able to listen to you, and we could hear you talk about fab and fabless ecosystem. We hear you
Okay.
talk about MCCI, what it should do.
Okay.
We
Great.
heard about PLI. We heard
Okay.
about
Yeah.
schemes and how it's addressing market failures
Great.
or deficiencies.
Great, maybe I'll just. Great. I won't take much time, Prashant. I mean, and Maharashtra as such is a very important state for us, and it's been is an important state for the country, for the industrial development in every sector as such. And initiatives taken by MCCI Pune to plan this semiconductor ecosystem conference very appropriate at this stage. And given the fact that there is a large presence of the semiconductor companies already, I think many EMS companies are already present there, and it's a great center for academic institutes. A huge amount of talent, as was mentioned by many speakers, is already available. I mean, it is also a great place for the startups. STPI plays a very important role in nurturing their startups. And I mean, it's but obvious that it's also a most important automobile hub for the country. And the very fact that the Pune is an automobile hub for the country, that, you know, that itself underlines the story for the next level of electronic manufacturing in the Pune, because automobile going forward is going to become more and more of, you know, electronics. As we move from the ICE vehicles to more and more towards the EV vehicles, automobile is going to become more and more kind of a computer on the wheels, you know. That's it. That's therefore, I think presently I understand in ICE vehicles we roughly use about 300 odd chips, but in EV vehicles, which are not autonomous, I think in normal EV vehicles we roughly use about 3,000 odd chips, which is 10 times more in terms of number, but the value wise, this would be a, you know, a far greater multiple in terms of the value of the chips which is being deployed on the EV vehicles. I mean, you have chips for a host of things like battery management system, power management and control systems, infotainment systems. And if you talk about, I think, I mean, the next stage could be the autonomous driving, right? Which is already an in thing in many of the countries like US and all. I think so. If the next thing is autonomous driving, so if the Pune has to maintain this edge or is this supremacy in the at the automobile hub, then it needs to plan for the semiconductor and electronic component for the EVs, and much larger amount of these chips going into the autonomous driving vehicles. I mean, going forward, it will be purely AI-driven cars on wheels with edge computing on the cars itself. So that is one area I think Pune can play a big role. Another very important area which Pune can big role that could be in the circular economy space, because the auto hub as such, they would create large amount of electronic components, and going forward we see that most of these components can actually be recycled and can be further routed back into the circular economy. So, and that's one sector which is kind of a growing sector, and Pune should be targeting to become an important center for circular economy as well. The third element which I would maybe request or suggest MCCI to focus on is on the industrial automation. Automobiles as sector as such, you know, is one of the biggest industrial automation centers when actually it comes to manufacturing in any sector. And most of the industrial automation we have seen in various countries, I think it's again driven largely by the control systems and a lot of robotic devices, robots hand, and which actually carries out a lot of operations either on the assembly line or for doing the actual manufacturing operations. So that's the third area I would suggest MCCI to focus on. With that, I think I would be closing my conversation, and I would thank the organizers for inviting me to this conference, and my apologies for not being again present there. I mean, also because of whatever problems we had during this VC. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sushilji. If you could have you for another couple of minutes, please. Three things. to share the gratitude, to request a promise, and to make an appeal. First, the gratitude. Thank you so much for sharing with us about the fabless ecosystem, what's happening with PLI, how the schemes are trying to address the market failure, as you mentioned, the disabilities at a macro level as well as at the component levels. Also, your guidance in terms of looking at design, but also ensuring that we are able to do the business development or marketing, your guidance on component manufacturing, corporate recycling, your guidance on the industrial automation. We in Pune, so that's our gratitude. Thank you so much for that. And the promise that we would want to extract is you would make up for not being able to could extract that promise. Sir, आवाज सुनाई दे रही है?
100%. 100%.
Thank you so much.
I do promise. I think I honestly, sincerely wish to be more than anyone else.
Thank you so much, sir. And one small appeal before I hand it over to Sanjeev ji. As you know it, and as you mentioned, Pune has always had the contributions right from the freedom fight struggle days to the early days of industrialization to today. When we look at defense indigenization, for example, just to give an example, Pune had about 300 defense manufacturing companies 5 years ago. It's about 1,200 that we are listing in the directory now. It shows what Pune can do in terms of contributing to the national growth. You know that about auto manufacturing, you know that about engineering. Thanks to you, we have set up the electronic cluster. We have an appeal, sir, that this industry of Pune, with help of likes of COAP and other engineering schools here, with help of STPI, with help of individuals like Sanjeev ji and others here, with industries like Accurate and others who are present here today, we would want to contribute, so we would request you to continue to guide us and tell us which areas you think, given your macro perspective, national, international perspective, we should focus on, and we'll continue to do that. That's the appeal. So thank you so much for it, and we'll hand it over to Sanjeev ji. Thank you, Sanjeev ji.
Thank you, Prashant ji. Sushil ji, first of all, a very big thank you for taking time out to join us with our request. The reason I joined back after Prashant ji is to congratulate you on success of electronics manufacturing, component manufacturing scheme. Sir, 249 proposals you have received, which is really phenomenal. And I'm very sure Maharashtra will play an aggressive role in creating that electronic component manufacturing ecosystem. So once again, congratulations on behalf of industry on the success of EMCS. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. There will be an event report.
Thank you all the organizers there. Thank you, Prashant.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. The vote of thanks. May I request Mr. Ajit Chikteri, Group Lead, Semiconductor and Electronics Development Group, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Madhura. I cannot. I think he's busy in some place there. Oh. Priyanka Sharma. She's also behind you here. Okay. And Gunjusha Bangale. So it's not only me, it's the entire team who is, with great support of MCCIA, we are able to put this conference on. So let me We are already running about 35 minutes late, so I would try to be crisp. So my sincere appreciation to all upcoming speakers, panelists, moderators who have taken the time to share their knowledge and perspective for this particular topic. Your contributions are well respected and for sure will lead to productive discussions and takeaways throughout the day. As we initiate this conference of the Semiconductor Ecosystem Development Group with MCCIA as a main thing, it's my honor to have this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks on behalf of MCCIA and SEDG. First and foremost, I would like to extend my gratitude to our esteemed dignitaries who have graced the second of its program. We had this program on last 15 July 2024. This is second of it. And we promise to do that probably in next 6 months, another one, dedicated to semiconductor ecosystem with their presence. We have already heard some of them in the inaugural session, and many others will put their knowledge bites in upcoming sessions. I want to thank all the dignitaries who have kicked off this conference and with their interesting remarks. You have heard all the remarks and probably most of them you have captured it as well. We look forward towards all these stalwarts to be an integral part of semiconductor ecosystem shaping up in Maharashtra. So I would like to thank Mr. Sushil Pal, although he could join remotely, but he did spend his time. Thanks to Mr. Vinayak Pai in his excessively busy schedule, he is here. Mr. Ajay Prasad Srivastava from STPI, Mr. Sanjeevji Keskar, all the way he came from Bangalore and he is going to be convener of this, and of course Mr. Prashant Girbane and all rest of the MCCI team. I'm sure that your presence and words of wisdom have set a very high benchmark for this conference. I would always believe that you would have already raised your expectations out of this conference, and we are sure that it will be met. And more deeply about setting up the semiconductor ecosystem in and around Pune. All of our sponsors, Software Technology Park of India, Accurate. I would like to specifically make mention of Mr. Vivekananda, who has spent, you can stand for a moment and Vikram if you can also. So thanks for joining at a short notice. Then Keller Ground Engineering Private Limited, MCCI Electronic Cluster Foundation, Mr. Sri Krishna Gadgil is already there. All of your contributions are vital to the success as well. You will see something interesting there. I must mention, have made this event possible, which was required to be done. You have come in a big number, that too also on a Friday, which is typically has started calling as a weekend, but then you could make it. So thanks for that and participating in this important dialogue. Your engagement, as everyone has said, that it will make these events very meaningful and impactful. We will now proceed with the rest of the day's sessions, energized and inspired by the words we have heard till now this morning. Together, we can pave the way for a robust and innovative semiconductor ecosystem as an integral part of Atmanirbhar Bharat mission, which has been initiated by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. With this, we come to the conclusion of the inaugural session. May I request the dignitaries to please come forward for a group picture, for a group photo. As mentioned by Ajit sir, we take this moment to express our gratitude. Thank you so much, everyone. We will now break for tea. We will be back in the next 15 minutes. Thank you.
Recording stopped.